Hey everyone, in this video, I'm going to show you how to summarize YouTube videos and podcasts using Google API services. So, very quickly, the services we're going to be using today in order to summarize YouTube videos or podcasts are going to be number one, this Google Analytics. So, YouTube Analytics API. That's going to be the first service that we use. We're also going to take advantage of a text to speech or speech to text uh, service through Google Cloud. So that's called it's a speech to text API. And finally, we're going to be using Google Cloud Storage um, in order to hold the objects that we're going to be creating, and this will allow us to perform the operations we need in order to transcribe audio to video to transcribe audio into text for our needs. So, just to explain what we're doing, we want to be able to take the latest episode from a YouTube channel and summarize it. Okay, this has multiple purposes. Um, it could be, I know, for example, some folks have newsletters that may want to provide a summary of a podcast and deliver those in the newsletter with maybe links to the actual podcast, perhaps because not everyone can listen to a 1 hour 2 hour podcast. So this could be a good option to make sure that you stay up to date with your YouTube videos and podcasts. So the first order of business here is we want to have a YouTube channel that we're interested in summarizing. I chose this channel called the Midas Touch. Okay. And the first thing we need to do is get the channel name. Okay. So the Google YouTube Analytics allows us to use this channel name to perform the operations that we're going to need. So the first order of business that I'm going to do here is I'm going to just kind of start from scratch. And I'm just going to create a quick Python virtual environment so I can install the packages we're going to need for this exercise. Okay. So that's done here. So in order to activate it, all right. So I previously worked out an example of this, but I'm going to run it from scratch just so we can see how it works. So the first order of business is going to be to import the correct directory, import the correct libraries. So for the YouTube API, that's going to be this Google API client discovery build. We're also going to be downloading each video, the latest video for each channel, and that's going to allow us to transcribe it later. Okay, and this SSL is just it's just a library that's needed on my machine to work correctly. All right, so the first thing that we're going to do, we're just going to grab the API key and maybe like the first. You know what? I think it's probably better. Let me just go ahead and I'll just I'll just grab it all here and we'll just kind of go through it and I'll just explain what's going on here. So the first thing that we want to do is grab our API key. Okay, so the API key is what we get from API services on YouTube. We go to credentials to get that. Okay, so we get that through selecting credentials and See, I created this one over the weekend, and we just create credentials, okay? And that's going to give us an API key that we can use to access the Google services, particularly the YouTube um, channel APIs. All right, so we want to set that, and I'll delete this after the after I complete this video, and we want to provide the channel name. Okay, all right, so the channel name is what I just previously showed the YouTube on the YouTube screen. It's going to be this value here, this @ symbol. Okay, that's what I'm finding that actually works with the channel name. Sometimes it doesn't work. I don't know why, but for I guess the popular channels and podcasts, it should work just fine. So we want to provide that. Now I'll link in a documentation that explains how to set all of this up, but basically we want to create a service object for each. So basically, this is the engine that's going to be performing all of the searches in the Google API. So this is just from the documentation. Okay, so we just need to create this build object and pass it the developer key, and with that, we're able to search any channel that we want, provided the channel name. We can provide it a few parameters like the order. So we want to make sure we have the order in there because we want to order this list by date, so in the descending fashion. And we want the type is going to be channel, and this part snippet is just a mandatory parameter that needs to be set. So this request object is going to have all of the channel information, and we're going to see that right now. So let me just go ahead and show you that real quick. Okay, so if I just go ahead and so first I actually need to install those dependencies real quick. Okay, so yeah, it's going to take a moment to install all of these, all the libraries, either for all of the other operations that we're going to need. Again, we're going to need to access Google Storage and Google Speech to Text, and so that's all included inside this requirements.txt here. Okay, so in the meanwhile, let me just kind of go here and show maybe what the latest video is from from a Midas Touch perspective. Okay, so this is the latest episode here. It says, you know, you know, this is the title of the latest episode. It was just uploaded 37 minutes ago, and we're going to be able to see that here in a moment. So this is going to be able to represent any channel that you want. So we have all of our packages installed. Okay, and so I also created a list that's going to be able to hold all the objects that we're going to need here in a second. So first, let me just kind of show, what this result is going to be here once I run this. Okay, so it's just giving us metadata about the actual channel. Okay, so that's information we're going to need to continue to drill down into this channel to fetch the data that we're going to need. Okay, so basically from this call, what we're looking for is the channel ID. Okay, so we're going from channel name to channel ID, and that's going to help us to get the latest episode that we're going to need. So let me just kind of go back here And I'll just go ahead and all right. So all right. So now after we had that response, so this is what I meant by we iterate through this response object, and we're going to capture information that we're going to need in order to describe the video that we want to see. So we want to get the so again, remember this data is going to be ordered by date, okay? And actually, I only want the one. Let me get one because we want to get this. We want this to be. I'm sorry about that. We want this to be the latest video. So we want to make sure that this is one. I mean, this just for demonstration purposes. So for each object, we're going to loop through and we're going to fetch the title and we're going to get the video ID. So that video ID allows us to create this URL that's going to point to that actual episode that we're interested in. Okay, and then we create an object for it, and then we feed it into our list here. Okay, so what I will do here is I will copy or I will comment this part out first because I just want to show that this code so far is able to identify the latest um, episode on that channel. So, all right, so it was that quick. So the most current video episode is this, this prosecutor accidentally hands Jack Smith devastating evidence. Okay, that's what we just saw. Okay. All right. So now that we have, the URL to connect, and also the title, what we're going to also do is use a library called PyTube just to download that actual video locally, and we're going to be able to perform some more operations on it. So we want to get the actual video for this episode, and we can download that locally. So that's what I'm going to do now, and that's also part of this code. So here, right, let's see here. Okay, so once we have the videos listed in the array, we're able to access, the first, element in that array and get the URL. So that's what we set right here. Okay, and we're basically able to download this episode, download that episode. So we're going to see what that looks like right now. Okay, so it's downloaded now. You're going to see it pop up over here, right? Yeah, there you go. So that's finished. Now what we want to do here is let's just go ahead and change the name of this. Let's just call it episode ep.mp4. It's just going to make it easier to work with. Okay, so now that we have the actual video, the latest video from the YouTube, what we want to do now is we want to parse out the video and the from the audio. And to do that, we want to use this particular code right here. Let's do this. Step through this. Call it the audio transcribe handler. All right, so what we want to do here is we just want to kind of set some values here. All right. All right, so we want to just identify the video that we're going to be parsing the audio from. So EP EP MP4. All right, the credential file. It's gonna be this one over here. Yeah, and I'm gonna delete all this, of course. Let me just go ahead and copy this value over here, and we'll just call it creds. Okay. So we want to call this creds. So we're going to be using the transcribe service and the storage service in this particular script here. So what does that mean? We're going to be using this. I'm a real big fan of Amazon, so we're going to be using this cloud storage, which is the S3 like service, object storage, and we're going to be using this transcribe service. This is a text to speech service. Okay. All right. Well, let's see here. Well, let me look for it again. Speech to text. We're going to be using this speech to text API here. Okay, we go to manage. All right. So I mean that's what we're going to be using. All right. So if I go back here, all right. So the library that we're going to use to um, perform the extraction for audio is going to be this PyDub audio segment here. Okay, so what this is, and this is just straight from the documentation. So this is going to take this MP4 file and it's going to convert it into this wave format, this audio format for wave. Okay, so that's what's going to happen there. And let me just go ahead and comment the rest of this out. Well, actually, let me just go ahead and just explain it. So once that comes out, we're going to see all this happen in real time. So once that comes out, you're going to get two files. One is going to say video. One is going to be for video, and one's going to be audio. Okay, and the file names are going to be audio.wave, and so it's going to be we're going to have an audio.wave file. Okay, so let's take a look at that shortly. So, but once we have that audio file, the script continues to go. It's going to access or create a client or create an object or service handler for that Google storage service that I just showed you. Okay, so here we create a client that's going to be able to send the appropriate API calls to that storage service. We want to pass it the bucket name, and we want to upload that file that we're going to create. So this audio extractor is going to create a file, which we're going to see in a moment, that we're going to basically pass to this upload function. So, or rather, it's a reference to that actual file object, and then we're going to upload it to S3, or rather Google Buckets. And then, we should get a message saying that, we've uploaded that to the correct bucket. All right. Once that's done, we're going to use that bucket name and the audio file name in the bucket to create a URI that points to that bucket and object inside of Google Cloud. And what we're going to do here is we're actually using the service account import to authenticate to Google here. Okay. And so we're actually creating a credentials object, and then we are initializing that speech to text service that I mentioned before and passing it the credentials. Okay. Now, because of the size of the audio file that we're going to create, we have to use an object storage in order for the speech recognition to operate from. So that's why we have to pass the speech to text API the URI of the object that we uploaded to that storage. So, but that's just going to give us a reference to this audio that will be in the bucket. And once that takes place, we need to set a configuration for the encoding. Now, because we're using a WAV format, uh, we can just kind of work with the defaults. So if you're using MP3 or so, I believe we would have to set this to 1600, 16,000. But I want to just work with the defaults because that the job gets done in a timely fashion. Okay, so what we need to do here is okay. So the difference between client recognized and client long running recognized is going to be the size of the file. I believe if the audio file is less than a minute, we can use the client I recognize. But because this video is going to be a little bit longer than a minute, we need to use this long running recognize, and that's basically running the operation of transcription. Okay. Once that's done, we actually have we want to create a little like a handler that's going to allow us to basically give us a status update for the length of time it's taken for this transcription process to run, and we also have a timeout. Okay, and once all that's done, we rewrite the transcribed text to a file. Okay, so let's go ahead and run that right now. Audio transcriber. All right, so it should be creating that file first, the audio file. We're using that PyTube. Okay, so there you go, the audio.wav. Next step should be upload that to S3 or upload that to Google storage. Okay, it may take a second, but that's the stage that we're at right here. So we should be seeing this uploaded message come next. See, uploaded. Okay, and then we got the URI. Now we're starting to loop through. Now this may take like 3-4 so minutes, I've noticed. So it may take a little bit of time, but it's transcribing the data. It's transcribing the audio from this audio file, which is basically speech to text. That's what the transcription means. All right, and we get back a JSON object, which we then process by extracting the text from this large JSON object here, and we're going to write it to a disk. And the transcribed file name, what is that going to be? So it's let me see here. Transcript output file. Okay, I may have made a. Oh, I'm sorry. So it's going to be transcribe.output.json, which I'm going to change to txt. But that's like a small a small oversight. So when I ran this over the weekend, it took about 3 minutes to complete. And let's take a look at the transcribe API. So we actually see it right over here. We should see it. Let's see if we can narrow this down here. Okay, so yeah, this is us right here. So yep. So we're seeing 200s here. So 200 is good. So that means that these requests are actually, are completing. So that's what we want to see. All right, let's see what other kind of graphs we have down here as well. Okay, what is it? So this is the long running operation that I was talking about. So this is because that file is longer than, or it's longer than 60 seconds. So we're using this Google long running text to speech operation here. So that's what that is. And these are my credentials, the speech to text API. Okay, so that's good that they give that kind of information. All right, now we get into the latency. Okay, so the higher the latency, the worse. So we want to have low latency, and this is what 0.4 seconds. So it doesn't seem to be very high at all. Okay, let's see what other. Okay, so the 99 percentile, I would assume here for latency. So various metrics. So for latency there. Okay, so yeah, we just have a lot of great analytics into the text to speech, which is great. All right, so there's no errors right here, so that's good. So and it looks like it's being uploaded or updated in real time. Okay, and again, um, we had to use S3 in order to upload this. Let me refresh this because we should have actually had this updated with a new file. You should see that here shortly. Okay. That's the bucket name. I didn't change the file name for this S3 object. I just kind of kept it in place. So I'm guessing that maybe that's the reason why. Yep, sorry. So it did update. So that's what I was saying. So just to make show you that everything is in sync here. Okay, like I said, it does take a while to transcribe larger files, but it just finished. Okay, and we have the transcribe output.json. So that's great. I'm going to change this to txt. So we're almost done here. Okay, so this is basically all the text from that episode. Okay, so the final step here is going to be using OpenAI just to summarize this data. Okay, so I create a small little script. Where is it at? Summarize text.py, very easy. Called Summarizer. All right, so we're using the OpenAI key or OpenAI service. So with OpenAI, you want to export your OpenAI key so that it exists as an environment variable because that's how uh, this class is going to fetch and authenticate you to the OpenAI service here. Okay, so what we're going to be using in order to summarize this text, we're going to be using what's known as a completion. Okay, so this completion is just fulfilling a particular prompt. Okay, so that's what we're doing here: client chat completions. Okay, so I want to be able to pass it a prompt, and I just want the service OpenAI just to do exactly what my prompt tells it to do. So I'm going to be opening the text file that we just created, and what I do here is I provide instructions, and then I provide the actual text. So I'm telling my prompt is summarize the text in backticks, and it's going to populate this with all of the text from that file, and we're going to see what the completion is right now. Oh, okay. So okay, so let me export that again. Oops. All right, so I just have to export that. So all right, I mean, so this is summarized. So the text discusses new legal findings against, so it just provides an overview here. So um, what I will do here is, provide the code for this example inside of the comments. But you can use this for your own purposes after that. So we're just summarizing a YouTube episode or a podcast, okay? And you can distribute that how you need. But I wanted to show you the steps I use to kind of create this small little tool, to summarize YouTube episodes or podcasts. All right. If you have any questions, please leave those in the comments, and please like and subscribe to the channel if you learned something today. And look to create more content soon. Thank you, and have a great day.